Dear students, in setting up of business entities, we'll take up the next topic, financial services organization and its registration. You know that India is a growing economy today, a developing country, and it's got a huge support system in the form of banking and NBFCs, what we call it as non-banking finance companies. So, in order to fuel the growth of the country, we are actually relying too much on the facilities and services offered by banking system in particular, and parallel to that is also in the form of a financial services organization. Basically, we are going to see in this particular chapter different types of financial services organization, including an NBFC. Not only that, we are also going to focus a little bit on what is the basic concept of NBFC and what are the different types of NBFCs. We are also going to discuss about something called Nidhi companies. We are going to discuss about certain microfinance companies and all that, which is a part and parcel of our economic system today. So when we talk of a startup, this sort of NBFCs are actually becoming popular by the day because they are one of the important systemic requirements for the country to grow, and consequently our role as professionals in putting up a new NBFC or being a company secretary in a new company like an NBFC company, that becomes very important. Okay, so we need to understand the entire scheme of operations of different types of financial services organization, and that's what I want to focus on. So first of all, the financial services organizations in the country is basically to facilitate economic growth, no doubt about that, and they offer finance facilities, they offer credit facilities, what we call loans, and other different types of loans they offer. They offer you term loans, they offer you working capital finance, they offer you loan for purchase of assets, hire purchase. So there are different types of financing options which are opted and given by various types of entities in the form of NBFCs, etc. We are going to cover non-banking finance companies, financial companies rather. Then we are going to cover housing finance companies, which focuses on providing finance for housing. Then asset reconstruction companies, microfinance institutions, which is becoming popular by the day, Nidhi companies, and payment banks. So payment banks is a recent development. You would have definitely heard of that. Over the last few years, we have got into this concept called payment banks. I would say 1 or 2 years is just very, very brand new into the system. But otherwise, NBF, non-banking financial companies, have been for so many years now in the system itself. So let us understand what is definition of an NBFC. So a non-banking finance company is a company which is registered in the Companies Act, or basically 2013 or earlier act, and they are primarily engaged in the business of giving loans and advances, acquisition of shares, stocks, investment companies, what we call. In different categories of NBFCs are there. So one of the important classification of NBFC is by their nature of operation, where they give loans and advances. Secondly, they acquire shares or make investments in bonds, debentures and securities of different companies. Leasing operations, many NBFCs are operating on leasing. They provide asset leasing and all that. Hire purchase is another major area of operation. Insurance business is another type of business which they take up. And chit business, chit companies, you would have heard of it, very popular over the years. And chit business, though it's not very big in India, but it's got a presence particularly in smaller towns and villages and etc. But they have very smaller presence, I would say. They are not quite popular as NBFCs. But chit plays a key role, but to a limited segment of population, because it works on a very interesting concept. So there are very few people who are interested in going for a chit. It is more of a need-based exercise where people go and save for a purpose and they take money out of the chit and they pay the chit money like installments. We'll come to that in detail. But these NBFCs are very popular, you are very much aware. But this financial institutions, what we are talking in this particular chapter, doesn't cover agricultural activity related financing or industrial activity related financing or any purchase or sale of goods or providing services for the purpose of sale, purchase of or construction of any immobile property. So apart from that, the other types of financial organizations, what we are going to cover, we have something called a residuary NBFC. A residuary NBFC is a company which has a principal business of receiving deposits under any scheme or arrangement in one lump sum or in installments by way of contribution or in any other manner, is also a type of an NBFC. And a residuary NBFC will also be considered as an NBFC only for all our discussion purposes and for operation purposes. The principal business itself is financial activity. So financial activity involves what? Acceptance of deposits, giving of loans, etc. So financial activity is a principal activity of any NBFC. And when do you consider the primary activity as a financial activity? When the company's financial assets constitutes more than 50% of the total assets. That is, when a company is going to give loans, which is 50% of the total assets, Loan is an asset, you all know. When a company is going to give loan to anybody else, it's an asset for the company. So the financial assets, investments, financial assets, loans, they are constituting more than 50% of the total assets of the company if you look at the balance sheet of the company. Then it can be classified as a financial company, and primary activity is financial activity. And not only that, income from financial activities should constitute more than 50% of the gross income. Are able to understand what type of income you get for your activities? Interest income. It's a major type of an income you get from financing activities. When you give loan, you get interest for that. That is a major income for the NBFC. More than 50% of the income should come in the form of what? Financial activity. If these two criteria are fulfilled, they are referred to as the principal business is financial business. And once that financial business becomes the most important business for the particular entity, you can classify them as a non-banking finance company. So a company which fulfills both this criteria, 50% of the total assets being financial assets and 50% of the total income coming from such financial assets, which is the nature of financial income, interest income, etc., then they are referred to as NBFC by RBI. Clear? So this is popularly referred to as a 50-50 test and is basically applied to determine whether or not a company is into financial business or not. So the primary business, to put in a simple term, the primary business is financial business. Then they can call it as a non-banking finance company. Coming to difference between NBFC and bank, NBFC and bank operate on similar platform, but there are some basic differences. Typically, an NBFC is not allowed to accept any short-term deposits like savings account or deposit like current accounts deposits. Whereas a bank is permitted to carry on operations where they accept deposits in the form of what we call demand deposits, savings account deposits and current account deposits. But NBFCs do accept deposits like fixed deposits or term deposits, which is for a particular term. And banks also accept deposits which are in the nature of fixed deposits. Particularly, what is the basic difference between NBFC and bank? As I said, NBFC cannot accept demand deposits. NBFCs cannot issue check to customers. So they are not carrying out any banking operations. So NBFC. There are a few NBFC names I can give you. So Sundaram Finance, Mahindra Financial Services, these are all some NBFCs which operate. Quite a few names are popular also, but just I'm pulling out a couple of names for easy understanding. So they cannot give checkbook to their customers to issue to somebody. They don't operate it because only banks are allowed to do that. RBI permits banks only to carry out operations through issue of checks. Deposits insurance facility, which is given by Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, is not available for depositors of NBFC, whereas it's available for bank deposits. So we are talking about the insurance of deposits, very, very important. So DICGC, what we call, is basically a wholly owned subsidiary of RBI, which provides insurance for deposits, for bank deposits, but not for NBFC. So if you want to put your money into an NBFC deposit, that's not guaranteed by DIC, the Deposit Insurance Credit Corporation, Governance of India, DICGC. Now, there are different types of NBFCs. We are going to understand that, very important, carefully observe. As I said, asset finance companies, the main business of asset finance companies to finance assets like machines, automobiles, generators, material equipments, and industrial machines. So most of the companies, for example, let us say, in fact, I had an opportunity to work with L&T Finance, which is a wholly owned subsidiary at that time, a wholly owned subsidiary of Larsen & Toubro. So in L&T Finance, we are focusing on financing of I can call it as earth moving equipments, heavy machineries, etc., which L&T was itself manufacturing. Carefully understand this. L&T, today I don't know whether they are into it, but when I was actually working for L&T, we had a business segment wherein they were making machineries in the form of earth moving equipments like heavy duty machineries and heavy duty vehicles which are used in construction activity also. Poke lines we call, poke lines, you would have heard of poke lines, like even in the roadside you would have seen to bulldozers, poke lines, all these heavy duty vehicles and machineries, funding for it, financing for it. So in fact, in L&T Finance, we are funding for purchases of such machines for various activities. See, for example, I'll tell you, one of our client was in a place near Rajamundry where he was into granite business. This granite business was, it's basically, how it works. So it's basically a mechanism of, pulling out rocks and certain rocks have the quality of being, after polishing and all these processes, it can become into a granite. In fact, Rajamundry near, there are a couple of places, popular places for black granites. These black granites are quite popular from that place. So there are a lot of rock deposits which are taken on lease by them from government, etc. And they pull out the rock, break the rock using heavy machinery, and then carry out the process of doing various things to that particular piece of rock and fine tune it and polish it, etc. Like a marble only, polish it, cut it, slice it, polish it, and they make it into beautiful granite. So this was the activity done by people near Rajahmundry. It was a major business activity, and we as L&T Finance were funding them for purchase of not only L&T. Let us be very clear. Not only L&T. Incidentally, L&T was into making of this heavy-duty machineries and make vehicles, right? But not necessarily L&T only. So L&T was also funding for other types of manufacturing. Mahindra has got a tractor financing. So heavy duty machines, etc. are funded by such companies referred to as asset finance companies. Hope you're clear. Coming to investment companies, there are many companies which are primarily focusing on investment in shares, debentures, bonds, etc. So normally they don't accept deposits also. They focus on whatever capital they have. They focus on investing in different types of investments and try to make profits out of that. That is called as investment company, which is a category of NBFC. Coming to loan companies, the loan companies are primarily offering loans and advances for various types of requirements. It includes an asset finance company which also indeed gives a loan. Then we have infrastructure finance companies. You would have heard of IDFC, Infrastructure Development Finance Corporation, or Infrastructure Development Finance Company. Their primary goal is to offer finance for infrastructure activities, putting up of roads, putting up of airports, putting up of railway lines or tracks. Though we talk about the public-private partnership, PPP. So in this PPP, they have a major role to play in terms of funding for various types of infrastructure projects. Now they have some criteria to be fulfilled to be called as an infrastructure finance company. One is that it has a net owned funds of 300 crores or more. Secondly, they have at least 75% of its money is deployed in assets and infrastructure loans only. They don't fund smaller requirements of loan for buying something. They only focus on lending crores of rupees for infrastructure creation. So they are referred to as infrastructure companies, finance companies, infrastructure finance companies. Minimum credit rating, they should have A or equivalent from various credit rating agencies like CRISIL or ICRA or whatever it is. Then only they can operate this company as an infrastructure company. Then capital adequacy ratio should be at least 15%. So if they fulfill all these conditions and criteria, they are referred to as what? Infrastructure finance company. Coming to systematically important core investment company. So a systematically important core investment company is a company which satisfies few conditions. One of the conditions is that assets of such NBFC should be 100 crore or more, and at least 90% of its assets are in the form of investment in shares or other debt instruments or loans in group companies. Very, very important. In fact, you would have heard of even now L&T has got a L&T holding company, which is a finance company, which invests in group companies, invests in shares and debentures of its own group companies. Very interesting. So very important. At least 90% of its assets of such NBFC should be in the form of investment in shares or debt instruments or loans in group companies. And out of the 90%, 60% should be invested in equity shares or those instruments which can be compulsorily converted into equity shares in the next 10 years. And such companies do accept public funds. Clear? These are all called as systematically important core investment companies. Then we have infrastructure debt funds, which is also NBFC, and the primary objective of such infrastructure debt fund is to sponsor companies which are into infrastructure development. That is funded. Then we have microfinance institutions, which is very popular nowadays. A lot of microfinance companies have converted themselves into small finance banks like Equitas. Like you have various small finance companies, banking companies today, which has been offered license by RBI. They are all called as microfinance activities, where they give loan for smaller amounts for purposes like, let us say, for example, microfinance companies give 10,000 rupees loan to a petty trader, or they give 20. The maximum loan itself will not exceed 1 lakh. Correct? So these are all some small amounts of loan given to the people who are in the segment where they need even a 10,000 rupees loan. They don't have that. So these companies offer loans of smaller amounts and they get back the money and they make profits out of that. So a loan given to those who have at least 85% of the funding should be done for microfinance activities, and a loan given should have the person to whom the loan is given should have income of 1 lakh or less in rural areas and 1,60,000 in urban areas, and the loan amount should not exceed 50,000 in the first cycle and 1 lakh in the subsequent cycle. Once the first 50,000 is given and loan is repaid, you can give further 1 lakh, but not before that. and total indebtedness of that particular borrower should not exceed 1 lakh at any point of time. So small amount only, and tenure should not be less than 24 months. The repayment tenure of the loan should not be less than 24 months, and the loan has to be given without any collateral. Collateral is something which there is no security involved in this, and the loan repayment is done on a weekly or fortnightly or monthly basis, etc. Then we have NBFC factors. Factors are basically they are agents. Basically, they are agents who involve themselves in collecting the debtors, money from debtors. So, if I am running a company, I have actually sold goods to my debtors, and these debtors are typically these factors operate for small to medium enterprises, where I have given a loan to someone by way of supplying goods worth 5 lakhs, let us say, and the party to whom I have supplied 5 lakh worth of goods is not able to pay me back because he doesn't have a credit facility. So, it's sort of an arrangement between three people: the person who has sold the goods, the buyer, and the factor. So these three people enter into an agreement where I have sold the goods, I collect money from factor for the goods supplied to the buyer, and the buyer has to repay the factor on the due date. So the factor collects from me a small charge like interest or a discount charge. So let us say I have 1 lakh rupees of supply to my customer. The customer is not able to pay me immediately. He will be able to pay me after 3 months only. And I supply him 1 lakh worth of goods. I immediately take 95,000 from a factor. So my job is over. My supply is over. I collected the payment. I am off. Then on the due date, the buyer of my goods will pay the factor. So it's an arrangement or an agreement. Of course, there are multiple modalities in it. I'm not getting into that at this point of time. That's not relevant for this particular topic. But what I mean to say here is this is a system of collecting your debts. Like they are agents for a collection, basically as simple as that. But they collect for that some discount charges or interest charges. This is how a factor is operated. There are very few factors. You have Canbank factors. You have. It's not so popular and all that. It's not so popular, but they do have some presence in India. In fact, I also had an opportunity to go through this factoring system for one of our units in Coimbatore when I was with Hindustan Lever. Very interestingly, for me, my experience is enabling me to relate it to reality. But as students, for you, I only wish I am trying to deliver the message correctly. What is a factor? So you have to only visualize and imagine how things are actually. Correct. So this is one of the important type of an NBFC, but not so popular. Mortgage guarantee companies, again, their primary focus is to give guarantee for loans. So it's basically a kind of company should satisfy that net own fund should be at least 100 crores and at least 90% of the business should be from mortgage guarantee business. A non-operative financial holding company, as I said, it's a company which is held by the promoter group like Tata Finance, for example. Tata Sons or Tata Finance, they try to operate through promoter groups, will be permitted to set up a new bank, and this wholly owned non-operative financial holding company which will hold the bank as well as all other financial services of the companies under one umbrella. So this is primarily for that purpose they allow this company to be started. For example, L&T Holdings, for example, I'm saying. So they try to start even a bank or any other operations, and they keep everything under one umbrella. Coming to benefits of incorporating NBFC, competitive interest rates can be offered by NBFC. Quick processing of loan. Now you go to a bank, it may have its own procedure oriented system and all that, but NBFC is fairly quicker than a bank, and it's not a replacement of a banking, but it's more of a supplementary system for banking. So no NBFC can be looked at as they are going to replace a banking operation. That's not the idea at all. So less rules and regulations for NBFC. It's easy to operate in NBFC. Loans are also available with people who don't have too much of financial strength. That's the minimum risk the NBFCs do take, and their criteria is a little more flexible than a banking system, and preferred choice of retail business due to ease in sanction of loans. Particularly when you're carrying on some retail businesses, you can apply for loan from NBFCs. Now, how do you register an NBFC? Very important. That's the purpose of this topic itself, setting up of business entities. How do you register an NBFC? You may be appointed as a company secretary for starting an NBFC itself. Then you need to know how to start an NBFC, how to register an NBFC. First of all, it is a company, as I already told you, under the Companies Act. So we need to follow all the procedures relevant for incorporating a company. But not only that, we have some additional requirements to be fulfilled with regard to requirements with RBI. So we should be, first of all, having a net own funds of minimum 2 crores for starting an NBFC, and should have minimum one director from NBFC background. That is, with adequate experience in NBFC, or he should have been a senior banker as a full-time director in the company. Then they should have clear CIBIL records, that is Credit Information Bureau of India Limited, clean records, that is company should be a clean company. An understanding of NBFC business is something they should know, otherwise they will not be allowed to start an NBFC. So the people behind NBFC, they are very, very important because they are all the people who are going to run the show. So RBI would expect them to be good in that particular business activity with adequate experience. Now you have to file an online application with RBI website and with relevant documents, and filing the application with relevant documents, they will be generating a number, and SCARN number will be generated, and it should be preserved, and for status update you have to check through that. And once you submit all the hard copy of documents to the regional branch of RBI, they'll allow you by way of a license after carefully examining all the documents, and they give you a license for operating an NBFC. So documents what are normally required to be attached are information about the management of the company, details about the management, then copies of certificate of incorporation as a company first of all, secondly certified copies of memorandum and articles of association of the company, then details of clauses and memorandum relating to financial activities. The object clause should be very specifically mentioning about what they're carrying out of activities in the nature of financial activities, and copy of PAN number and CAN number allotted to the company. Director's profile, as we just now saw, they should have adequate NBFC background, that is they should have understanding of NBFC business, certificate from NBFCs where the directors have gained NBFC experience, and civil data regarding directors of the company where they don't have any default in payment of credits or loans. Then financial statements for at least 2 years after incorporation, and board resolution specifically approving the submission of application for NBFC, and board resolution that the company has not accepted any deposits from the public at the time of application, because in future even if they want to accept without RBI permission they can't do that. Board resolution stating that the company is not carrying on any other NBFC activity, or rather having started they stopped it earlier. That should be confirmed by the management and at the time of making the application. Then certified copy of the board resolution in regard to the fair practices code, and statutory auditor certificate certifying that the company is not carrying on any other NBFC activity, and statutory auditor certificate regarding the net owned funds of minimum of 2 crores. We saw that. So the statutory auditor should certify that. And details of the authorized share capital and latest shareholding pattern should be provided for with percentages, and copy of the fixed deposit receipts and banker certificate of no lien indicating balances in support of net owned. So if your net owned funds is in the form of deposits, you should get a certificate to the effect that there is no lien on that. No lien means there is no liability attached to that. Then details of the bank, whatever bank accounts they are maintaining, last 3 years audited balance sheet, business plan for the next 3 years, source of capital, where are you going to get for this NBFC, self-attested bank statements and IT returns, and above all, they should also NBFC related documents, license related documents, they should also submit it. Then we have housing finance companies, which is a separate category, where LIC Housing Finance, you have Can Bank Housing Finance. These are all the companies which are focusing only on housing activities. In fact, they are governed by National Housing Bank. So it's a type of an NBFC, no doubt, which is a non-banking financial institution, but primarily focusing on funding of housing projects, so housing loans and all that. So NBFCs which are regulated by RBI, they are generally NBFCs which give loan for various purposes, but this housing finance company is a separate category, not controlled by RBI but by National Housing Bank. Understand this carefully. RBI is not the controlling authority for housing finance companies but National Housing Bank. So the National Housing Bank is basically going to seek your licensing requirements. So company should have its primary operation as funding for finance for housing sector directly or indirectly, and company should obtain a certificate of registration from the National Housing Bank, and the company should have a minimum of net owned funds of 10 crores. Then only they can enter into this activity of housing finance companies. So there are quite a few large housing finance companies which are operating in this scheme of things, and their primary focus is to give loan for HDFC is a housing finance company. Okay, HDFC Bank is there separately, but HDFC Housing Development Finance Corporation, which is a separate housing finance company, which is a large corporate, you know that. It's a listed company, and they are all into housing finance operations. Procedure for registration of housing finance companies, you need to get a certificate of registration from National Housing Bank. As we just now saw, you should have a minimum of net owned funds of 10 crores, and you should first of all incorporate as a company and file relevant documents, which are, as we saw for an NBFC, you need to submit your memorandum, articles, financial statements and all that. And once the National Housing Bank is happy with all the documents, they'll give you a license for operating as a housing finance company. Are you clear? Then there's something called an asset reconstruction company. and or asset securitization company. Now, what happens many a times, they are going to deal with assets which are non-performing assets under Section 3 of Securitization, SARFAESI Act. There is an act called SARFAESI Act. SARFAESI Act is the short form of Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act 2002. So this act basically, this particular asset reconstruction company is regulated by RBI only. It's an NBFC, no doubt, and they are basically started for recovering non-performing assets acquired from banking system. Very interesting. This is sort of a popular NBFC, but on a limited scale. Why I am telling that is their core operation is just to focus on purchasing of assets which are declared as NPA by banking system and try to deal with it and recover the money from them. In this process, you make some profit. Let us say you are going to a bank has given a 100 crore loan to someone. They have not paid it. The bank is going to sell that 100 crore loan to you and you pay 60 crores and take that loan. And you try to collect 70 crores from the party or you sell it to somebody. So this is how the asset reconstruction works, because they work on some modalities of reconstructing the loan. See, the person who has not repaid the loan, it's not necessary that he has run away. He is going to be there in the sense you have to deal with him and try to restructure it and try to get back the money over a span of time. So the money making is not easy, you all know. The money making doesn't happen just like that. So everywhere you have to involve yourself into a big way and try to carry out things in a big way that you invest your money and get some returns out of it. So this companies also work that way only. Okay, so it's regulated by RBI. And non-performing assets are those which are not generating income nor their principals are repaid. They take over such assets and try to recover that or restructure it. So these asset reconstruction companies lets the bank focus on core activities. They need not chase this NPAs, and they can sell these NPAs to asset reconstruction companies. They will take care of it. Okay, and typically they acquire, so they take over the non-performing assets and they take a procedure for recovering it and they acquire financial assets, and they also change the management and try to recover the money later, rescheduling of debt. All this is a core activity itself. What I mean to say here is, instead of bank going and trying to do this, they sell it off to asset reconstruction company, and the asset reconstruction company takes over the entire procedure and deals with it. So it is like going and dealing with all NPA accounts and try to recover the money from them, and in this process make some profit. That's the whole objective of an asset reconstruction company. Okay, they make money or not, you all know every business got its own challenges, but the bankers will sell off those non-performing assets and they are happy with not keeping it with themselves, and these companies take over them and deal with it. That's how it is. So how to register an asset reconstruction company? Again, first incorporate as a company under the Companies Act procedures, then apply to RBI, and you have to make an application to Chief General Manager in charge of non-banking finance companies, and it's in Mumbai. So they'll give you a certificate of registration, and once you get a certificate of registration, you can start operations as an asset reconstruction company, which can be extended also further later. Then we have microfinance institutions, which is something which we discussed, microfinance companies, and we have Nidhi companies. So microfinance institution, as I said, are basically formed for the purpose of giving small loans. And I also told you that the loan amount itself cannot exceed 50,000 at a time. Maximum outstanding cannot be more than 1 lakh and all that. Okay, so microfinance institution is also a type of an NBFC which has at least invested 85% of its assets into microfinancing. Microfinancing, as I said, the loan amount cannot exceed 1 lakh income for a rural area person. That is, somebody who is coming to borrow money from the microfinance system, his income in a rural area, if he is in a rural area, should not exceed 1 lakh in a year, and if he is in an urban area, it should not exceed 1,60,000 in a year, and such loan should not exceed 50,000 in the first cycle. We already discussed that, and 1 lakh in the second cycle, and total debt of a person who is borrowing under this microfinance cannot exceed 1 lakh. And what are the various characteristics of microfinance institution is that the size of the loan is very small, and the repayment period is also very less, and no collateral is required, and the purpose of loan is very flexible. You can use it for multiple purposes, not for personal use but for business or anything, etc. Transaction cost is very low, so many small time players can seek loan from microfinance companies. And larger microfinance companies have taken loan license from RBI. They have become small banks today. As I gave examples about Equitas or Bandhan Bank was earlier a small bank. and now they are offered a license to be a normal banking operation. Microfinance company, Bandhan. Bandhan was more into microfinance in West Bengal. Now they have been offered a license by RBI to run a bank. So they become so large. Okay, so very popular activity across India because India is a developing country. Microfinance companies are becoming popular by the day. Then how to apply? Naturally, you have to apply to RBI, submit relevant documents including memorandum articles and financial statements and auditors report, etc. And then you can seek approval from RBI for license to operate as a microfinance company, and you can operate. Then the last category is about Nidhi companies, which is a separate category. Nidhi companies are primarily meant for benefit of its own members. They operate under the special act, under the Companies Act, as a special category called Nidhi companies, and they cannot issue any preference shares and all that. And they have to comply certain things within 1 year of incorporation. They should have minimum 200 members. It's like a cooperative society type, but not exactly a cooperative society. It is a Nidhi company which is meant for the benefit of its own members. They can accept deposit from members, give loan to members, and simple 1 rupee could be the membership fee. As simple as that. Like or today maybe 10 rupees or whatever. Minimum 200 members should be there. Net owned funds should be 10 lakhs or more, and minimum 10% of the unencumbered term deposits of the total outstanding deposits should be there. And ratio of net owned funds to total deposits should not be deposits of not more than 1:20. Ratio of net owned funds to deposits should not be more than 1:20. And as I said, they can only deal with members who are individuals, and they accept deposits for a period of 6 months up to 60 months. RD can also be open for a period of 12 months to 60 months maximum. They can operate branches across India but there are separate procedures for that. But primarily within the district or state you can operate. But if you want to go to other states, you may have to go through the relevant procedures of that particular state. The Nidhi company, they can accept deposit from its members or maximum loan to a member. So if they have a deposit total amount is 2 crores, they can give a maximum loan of 2 lakhs to members. If they have more than 2 crores up to 20 crores as deposits, they can give a maximum of 7,50,000 as loan to members. And if they have more than 20 crores up to 50 crores, they can give a loan of 12 lakhs. And more than 50 crore deposits, they can give for individual member 50 lakh worth of loan at a point of time maximum. And normally, Nidhi company can declare a dividend of up to 25% without approval from the regional director. But any other higher amount should be only with the approval of the regional director. Okay, so there are quite a few advantages of operating a Nidhi company. As I said, it is more for a local operation. Then lastly, we have something called a payment bank, which has emerged recently. Payment banks are given license only to carry out payment transactions. Like you had Airtel Bank today, which operates on a system in its own platform. You can make payments to third parties, like you can make payment of insurance, you can make payment of mobile phones, all that through the payment banking system. So their operations are only restricted to the payment channel. I think they get some commission in the process. That's the profit they make. So it can carry out most of the operations only with regard to payment, but not any loans or advances. They cannot give any loans or advances. And these banks operate digitally rather than physically. And the minimum capital requirement is 100 crores. And promoter stake should remain at least 40%. And foreign shareholding pattern is allowed as per FDI norms. Voting rights are regulated by Banking Regulation Act. And the voting rate of shareholder is capped at 10%. And it can be raised up to 26% by RBI. And any acquisition of more than 5% will require approval from RBI. If I want to acquire more than 5% of holding in that company, I need to take approval from RBI. And composition of the board should consist of independent directors primarily and appointed according to RBI guidelines. And the maximum cap of deposits 1 lakh per customer. Sometimes they raise deposits, but they don't do anything else. They don't give any loan or anything like that. They cannot undertake any lending activities, and they can operate 25% of branches in unbanked rural area. If at all they want to start a banking operation only for payment purposes in rural areas. And the bank must use the name called Payment Bank. Okay. And license is obtained under section 22 of the Banking Regulation Act, and it should be a public company under the Companies Act. So Payment Bank is evolving and they're becoming slowly popular. So that is something which again we as professionals should keep ourselves track of it as to how it is going about and have a proper understanding of its operations. Okay, so very interesting topic in my view. Definitely I would say that this finance companies, what we are talking about, has got a big role to play in the economy. So in the days to come, you will find more role to play by such NBFCs. So as professionals, our understanding of such NBFCs, its operations, the startup procedures, etc. should be we should be thorough with all of this, okay, so that it can be useful for our operations as a professional, either in practice or in industry. So good, go through this and let me know whatever doubts you might have. I'll catch up with you very soon in the next session, and probably we'll be starting off with startups and its registration. Startup and its registration ideally would be the next topic for you. I'll catch up with you very soon. Take care.